Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens, and with your welcome back to your host. Shit, here we go. Third time's a charm. Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your host Jake and Scott. In this week's episode, we're talking about one of our favorite things: whiskey with a sense of place. So sit back and buckle into the latest episode of the Bourbon Lens. Scott, it is truly the back half of the year because it's release after release after release after release. Are you trying to keep up with this, or has our flooded inbox just overwhelmed you to the point of no return?
It's like you get so many, you just shut down and you're like, I'm not touching any of them. But no, it's been exciting to see what's rolling out, or what's been in the pipeline for so long with some of the big distilleries, and what innovations, or whatever you want to call it. It's like they've hit a stride to where they can start releasing these interesting new things that these bourbon nerds like ourselves really enjoy and really seek out.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been interesting. You have Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. They added Taylor to that. You have Russell's continuing with the single Rickhouse, also retiring the Master's Keep from Wild Turkey, with Beacon coming out, which I'm
It was a shock.
jealous.
It was a shock to me.
Yeah, that one was odd. Hardin's Creek just released their new lineup that's coming out. We talked about the Heaven Hill Grain to Glass and Chinkapin Oak. We have the brand new Jack Daniel's single barrel special release Tanyard Hill Rye, because they can never do anything short at Jack Daniel's. Everything is very long in name, so shout out to the marketing team because I said the whole thing. And so today we're going to hone in on some of these releases that offer up a sense of place. And this was kind of made popular two different ways, right? The first way was when Jack Daniel's burst onto the scene with Coy Hill a few years ago and 140 proof hazmat bourbon or Tennessee whiskey. And the second one was one of the Hardin's Creek releases when it was Kentucky, Claremont, and Boston. So when you think about whiskey and the last kind of genesis over the last 3 to 4 years, what do you think about like these brands naming a Rickhouse or a hill where this lands or where these barrels aged? And do you think consumers care about that?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's the whiskey nerds that care, but really, we're at a point to where pretty much everybody's been on the bourbon trail or been to a couple locations or distilleries, all around the country, not just in Kentucky, but most people have been to Distillery. So it's almost to me like they're trying to bring those people back to the distillery without them necessarily being there. But they're like, well, this is on the property. And if you look at the map, it's over here, next to whatever. Or maybe there's an experience where they could take you around to the different rickhouses. So, it's like Coy Hill, it's like all the way up the hill. Like, okay, you've been to Jack Daniel's, but have you seen the different areas? So I kind of feel like there's a little bit of that. It's trying to get people to go there, even if it's just for a glass of whiskey, like for a moment in time. I remember being at, Jim Beam, and I remember, seeing the Rickhouses, in Claremont. Like that's where, that's what it does for me. Cellar aged, another one. You go to Makers, you see the cellar. It's like that whiskey was aged in that location. It's like, okay, now I can really hone in on what might make this different.
Yeah, no, for sure. I hope that you'll see more experiences that take you to the barrel house. And I know there's probably some red tape that the lawyers have to watch out for, those, low-hanging ceilings and stuff like that. But we just got to do the Buffalo Trace new tour for the Single Barrel Select member. So if you are a Single Barrel Select member, you can go to Buffalo Trace and try barrel strength Buffalo Trace. And at the end, pick a sister barrel that was blended down to, standard Buffalo Trace proof and leave with that, which I think is a really cool experience. And so you do get to go to the Rickhouse. You do get to see how aging is a little bit different. And for some of these warehouses like Jack Daniel's or Wild Turkey or Heaven Hill, there's different styles of Rickhouses because there's some older, there's some brand new ones. There's, barrels with 60,000, there's barrels with 20,000, so there's, a lot of opportunity to see that and take a step back in time in history, or see how the modern distillery, how the modern Rickhouse is aging whiskey as well. So I think it does bring that opportunity, but can the member get there and can you try liquid out of there, that becomes the ultimate thing. Because for the bourbon whiskey lover, the ultimate experience, and Chris Fletcher said this on the Zoom call about the Tanyard Hill Rye, was the best expression of whiskey before you get to understand it and like blend it is out of the barrel, right? And get that first sip. And then you can do whatever you want with it. If it goes down to, standard old number 7, or if it's something in between, there's an opportunity. So I find it to be, a great way to maybe get members to experience what we've been able to do so many times, which is to pick a barrel and try barrel strip from the whiskey, which is a really cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, they say so much of the flavor comes from the aging, so it's like really being able to showcase that. Like even if it's just like top of the Rickhouse, lower Rickhouse, extended age, things like that. So it's like just being able to demonstrate that to a consumer that otherwise might just be used to a batched product, which is for consistency's sake, but the consumer is so much more curious now, and they want to seek out different things, especially if they latch on to a particular distillery. It's like you go to a distillery, you can get 20 different products. You can get 20 different products from them, but what's going to differentiate them?
Yeah, 100%. And, what's interesting about the two releases that we're going to spend a little bit more time on talking here in the back half of this podcast is they tell you a couple different stories. One, where they're matured, right? The Tanyard Hill Rye is in the crow's nest, for lack of better terms, and the Russell's Reserve Single Rickhouse Camp Nelson E matured on floor 5, right? So another high story of a Rickhouse. And what we can tell you is both of these are the highest proof release that they've ever done, right? Of these type of barrels, right? So you've got Rickhouse coming in right at 128, and then the barrel that we have to sample for Jack Daniels is 145.9. So if I instantly sprout hair out of my chest during this podcast, I just sip some of that Tanyard.
Yeah. I mean, this comes on the heels of us just talking about, great whiskey doesn't need to be high
High
proof,
proof.
but damn it, they're going to still keep producing it. That's for sure. So,
Yeah.
and we'll
I
still
mean,
keep tasting it.
we'll taste it. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to hate it or anything. We just may prefer lower proof.
It just depends on hey, weather's turning cooler. It was like 36 outside last night. So it's, high proof whiskey drinking season, I guess. I don't know.
I
We'll
don't know.
see.
I was just having this conversation. This is going to take us off topic for a brief second. When we were growing up, how hot did 101? Did it feel like it was like blazing your face off?
It felt like you were melting in the sun.
Yeah, and it sounds like Wild Turkey 101. That's just a nice spice. I like that nice spice.
Yeah.
Now it's
You're
like,
huh. Yeah, 101. It's like, oh, this guy's going crazy. He's getting the high proof stuff. It's like, no, now the way to melt your face off, 140 proof whiskey.
it's almost to drink gasoline at this point, but neither here nor there. So let's talk a little bit about Russell's Reserve Single Rickhouse Camp Nelson E matured on floor 5 at 128 proof. When I see 60 in the ABV category, I'm like, oh, yeah, I gotta batch up. And then I like saw this release from Jack Daniels, it was like 72. I was like, I don't think I've ever drank anything this hot. I have not. The first time I've drank anything this warm. But let's just take a little sip of the Camp Nelson, right? Which a lot of people love. They search these single barrels out. They're typically a little bit more funky. So we are doing a bourbon and a rye on this tasting. But, Russell's has continually put out good barrels. So what have you thought? I know you've sipped this once before. What have you thought of this?
I feel like it's an intense version of Wild Turkey, which for most people think Wild Turkey is an intense whiskey in and of itself. But to me, it's like concentrated. Yeah, every flavor is more concentrated. And it historically hasn't drank really that hot to me.
Yeah,
Like I think
I
this
agree.
is the second, third maybe single Rickhouse. But I wouldn't be able to tell you the differences, but they do have like the concentrated, oak intensity.
I'm not going to tell you to go look at someone else's website, but I'm going to tell you to go look at someone else's website. If you want to know the difference between the single Rickhouses, go check out Rare Bird 101. David Jennings will tell you all the different nuances about the Rickhouse and why these barrels are different.
Yeah.
And the nice thing on this one is it's rather sweet for me on from a Wild Turkey portfolio. Like that brown sugar molasses note is kind of really there in like a cherry cola.
Yeah, to
The nose
me,
is nice. It's approachable.
the nose is definitely got some fruitiness to it that
Yeah.
I I don't usually get.
And maybe that cherry cola, like the more I sniff this, it's like more like a compote, like a berry type of compote where you got like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries kind of all mingled together. You're getting all that fruit in there. It's really nice. Like the nose is nice. There's a subtle hint of like light baking spice on this one. I mean, the nose made me want to try this really quickly.
And we will.
And we will enjoy this. But what's interesting, I think, on the palate is there's like a pop of spice, like right off like that I that popped on my palate, like, it's like barrel spice, like, right away, that kind of, like, takes away some of the fruit flavors until, like, afterwards. The fruit
Mm.
comes back, so it's like that big spice pop and then, like, a mellowing of the like, the brown sugar and fruit, like, desserty, like, graham cracker, like, the bottom of a cheesecake, you know what I mean? Like, the graham cracker crust.
Yeah. The note to me that's really sticking out and still lingering is like classic candy, like root beer candies, like
Yeah,
a little bit of a licorice note, which I'm typically not wild about licorice, but that anise type
yeah.
note.
It's like, it's like it wants to be mint, but it's not mint. It's like, right, kinda like
Yeah,
that
like
type of.
just super herbally.
Yep, yeah,
That's the note that's like lingering with me still. Maybe it's just because it's in my brain and I just keep going back to that. But those hard root beer candies, a little bit of black licorice, fruit, but it's almost like cherry cola.
yeah. Well, and the other thing, what's really interesting, I think that Wild Turkey portfolio traditionally leans itself to a great hot toddy. Like, and we're in hot toddy weather, right? And so, like, I'm not saying to go buy a bottle of this and,
Whew,
like, make a hot toddy.
damn baller.
Not me, but, a nice toddy with this type of profile would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like herbally. I almost think like to set that off, you almost need like some citrus or like some orange. Like maybe it's like some like burnt orange peel.
Like a little flame. It does lack a little bit of citrus. I think this is one of the sweeter wild turkeys I've drank, right? Like typically I get like more dark complexity and it's a little more drying and leathery. This one is a little more sweeter. I like it. That's a
Brown
really
sugar,
nice.
maple,
Yep.
maple note.
It's definitely fall. It definitely has fall vibes, for sure. You do this with like a pot of chili.
Mm.
It is chilly weather. Speaking of, we will take a moment of opportunity to talk about favorite concoctions in a crock pot or stock pot that you can create, right? So there's chili, but chili is a wide range. You have white chicken chili, you have like hearty, earthy chili, you have Texas chili, you have chili with beans, without beans. What's your favorite style of chili that you enjoy?
I don't really do chili in a crock pot. I just do it on the stovetop. And it's like a traditional red chili with beans, no noodles.
No, no.
When I was younger, it was like noodles on the side, but I feel like that was because times were tough and noodles were cheap, but it's not my favorite. But yeah, just like a red chili with lots of like green bell peppers, red bell peppers, whatever color bell peppers. Usually just saute those down with onions and tons of garlic and then just add everything in and just let it sit for like 2-3 hours
Let it all melt together. Little
and then,
cumin.
eat a little bowl because I've been tasting it the whole time while it was cooking. And then I'm not really hungry when it's ready. Feed everybody else, put it in the fridge, and then eat it the second day, and it's better.
Second day chili's phenomenal with all that like grease that's like through the meat that's like seeped through it.
Just like reincorporates to
Another good one is chicken tortilla soup. That's also a fan favorite at our house. I like vegetable soup, but no one else in my family likes vegetable soup. But like I do love a good, cook down some top round. So you got little chunks of meat, carrots, peas, green beans, just like that frozen bag medley, whatever that is, and
Yep.
just enjoy life.
What about cabbage?
I could do cabbage in there.
Tons of cabbage.
I'm
This
not
that is my family's like style of vegetable soup. It is thick and tons of vegetables.
also just give me a whole bag of lima beans in there too.
That's Liam. He's like, I will take everybody's lima beans.
Like I don't like love lima beans like by themselves, but man, like in a veggie soup, like you can't go wrong. It's also a cool experiment, like when you take a lima bean and then like you like get the seed out and you see it like stem out. Like I remember that from like kindergarten,
Yeah. You bring
like
it
growing a
home.
lima bean.
You bring it
Yeah,
home, put it on the windowsill.
yeah, yeah. And the reason that we took this cooking break to talk about this is because I'm scared to drink this next whiskey.
Yeah, he's hyping himself up for it.
I have hyped myself off the ledge, but you know what they say, there's no time like the present. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Special Release Tanyard Hill Rye at 145.9. Scott, have you ever had anything hotter than this?
Not that I can recall. I mean, maybe like a Canadian whiskey or something like that, but not that I can recall something this high. It's usually like hazmat, like barely 140. No,
For the
not that
people at
there's.
home, just look at the color.
Yeah, it
So a
is the
couple things.
darkest color copper you will ever see.
A couple things I do want to mention on this because I do find it to be interesting is the rye whiskey has a lower charcoal maple filtering than the bourbon. We just learned that from Chris Fletcher. So that goes through about 3 feet versus the corn going through about 10 feet of charcoal mapling. So it's a quicker process because rye is not as oily as corn is. So they're stripping out some oil when it goes through the Lincoln County process there. The other thing is, again, these are on one of the highest points in Jack Daniels and some of the original Rickhouses. These are some of the oldest. This is Barrel House 101 is what they call it. And these are in the Crow's Nest in the 7th floor up on Tanyard Hill, which kind of overlooks the distillery a little bit as well.
Which all of their single barrels are from what they consider like the crow's nest, like this
Correct.
that high part of the Rickhouse. All of their single barrel collection is. Maybe one day they'll say, we're not going to get single barrels from there, or release something from lower in the Rickhouse that's older, extended aging. But
When you have 100 Rickhouses, there's a lot of crow nests.
yeah, you got some barrels to play around with.
All right. So I think this is the highest proof whiskey I've ever drank in my life. So I'm nosing it. The one thing I will say right off the bat is I've let it sit. There's not a huge ton of ethanol in the nose, which I'm pleasantly surprised by
Yeah.
because I really thought I was going to sniff this and pass out.
Now, the other night, I cracked it to nose it, and it was very intense. But I'm glad that I cracked it open and then also let it set for a little bit. But I can imagine that your first pour out of a bottle would be very intense, ethanol-wise.
It is like molassesy as well. Brown sugar, little cinnamon.
I'm getting like a lot of like cracked black pepper.
Yep.
Like you get your big, your grinder. Like it's
gonna make me
got a
sneeze.
little, yeah, it's got like a little fruitiness to it because like peppercorns kind of have like a berry aroma, but then you get like that tingle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it literally like I was like sniffing it. I could feel it in that back there. What's really interesting, I went to take a sip and you couldn't tell me this was almost 150 proof. Granted, we just drank 128 proof, so my palate is warm, but my palate should never be ready for 150 proof whiskey. Ever.
Just take a step up on the scale and say, here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
it is flavorful, but as I told Chris, I have kept my Tennessee water. I use a water dropper at all points in time. So this is Tennessee water straight from Jack Daniels that I've kept. I'll share my thoughts with you. I am a 2-drop guy, always from a water dropper perspective. So we'll let that open up. So I did think the mouthfeel was very flavorful. It's kind of mid to back palate, not a ton front palate. It's got a nice rye flavor profile. It's got that orange citrus zest thing going on. Creme brulee vibes for sure going on there as well. That burnt toasted sugar. And, I think there's a little bit of that cola note that has become really synonymous with Jack Daniel's rye, not so much with the bourbon because of that isolamylamatate, which is that banana note that we all have come to love with some of the single barrel proofs bourbons or Tennessee whiskeys. But I thought the first sip, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to drink that all day. Probably couldn't. But I'm excited to drink this with 2 drops of water.
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels, because of the amount of barrel influence, it almost feels like a double barreled, like double oaking. I mean, obviously the color is just through the roof, but a lot of like dark chocolate, but it does, like what I think you said this, but it goes like straight to the mid palate, straight to the back. Like, doesn't really get you on the tip of the tongue. I don't know what the science is, where your taste buds are where, but it really just, it finds the back of your palate, and you're just like, okay, it's gonna stay there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just added 2 drops of water as well.
I think it opened it up a ton.
What was
I
that?
think I think it opened up a ton with having that 2 drops of water.
Well, to me now it's got like more of the maple syrup.
Maple
It's
syrup,
got
black
more like the
cherry.
maple, brown sugar.
It's like black cherry cola is kind of like where I'm at. Nose and palate, but that molassesy note, it's really sticky on the nose. Like when you think about molasses, I think about that stickiness. The one thing I am very interested that I thought this would have a ton of viscosity. It's more coating than it is viscous, right? So like when I think of viscosity, I think of it like swelling up my mouth, saliva all the time. But this is just kind of rounding the palate, not necessarily like coating it thick, chewy whiskey, for lack of better terms.
I mean, I feel like the finish, it's just there. It's like still, like I feel like I'm still drinking the whiskey, and I set it down 30, 45 seconds ago.
It's a cool release. Like if you can get your hands on a bottle, I'm not saying not to do it. Because it's really, I mean, it is good. I'm gonna have this sample for a while, but
Yeah.
I want to share this with people. I think this would be a fun thing to do, to share with people and be like, hey, like, what do you think? What do you like? What do you don't like about this?
Do
Because
you
I think
tell
it's
them
going to
it's
be
almost
polarizing.
146 proof?
No, you warm them up, you give them something around 100, then your next pour somewhere around 115, 120, and then you go there.
I don't know if that's like abuse of friends or what, but
I mean, they should be happy that they're going to get like
I feel like it's not a whiskey for like a rare whiskey drinker, like a person that rarely drinks whiskey.
no, I'm not
Like
giving that to my wife.
Yeah, you could definitely, like, they would be like turned off by that.
You would blow their palate out. But somebody who is drinking whiskey on a regular basis once, twice a week,
Yeah.
I think they would appreciate this.
I think
I
they'd be
think
interested to know that it's not bourbon.
it.
Like, I don't get a lot of rye notes from it.
So on the back end, right, very end, I feel like a shoot of spearmint, peppermint kind of mint note come back to the top that gives me that rye. But I think because of the proof, it does drink more like a bourbon.
Like a big boy whiskey.
I mean, it is. It's put your britches on, strap your belt up. We're going to work.
Yeah.
Like that's what this one's all about. So it'll be interesting. Would love to know everyone's thoughts. Have you tried Russell's single Rickhouse 25? Have you been able to find one of the Tanyard Hill releases? And again, it's Jack Daniel's single barrel special release Tanyard Hill rye. The proof point does range on this one. I think it's as low as 132, as high as 146, 145.9 to be exact. So there's a range, just like the Coy Hill barrels. Scott,
Happy
any
hunting.
parting? Yeah, happy hunting. Any parting shots on the thoughts of sense of place with Rickhouses?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like I said at the beginning, I think it's important for the whiskey nerd. They want to transport themselves to another place. Get as close as you can get to tasting whiskey from the Rickhouse. Not everybody gets that opportunity. We are very, very, very fortunate that brands have provided that opportunity to us. It's not lost on us that that's something that people don't get the opportunity to do. We do appreciate it every time. But this is like the next best thing.
Yeah. That's 100%. That's correct. And I would just want to, again, shout out the LaForce team that did the Russell's Reserve and the Finn Partners team that did the Jack Daniels releases. We really appreciate you all. If you are not subscribed to the Bourbon Lens on any of our channels, please do so. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you have thoughts or comments on your favorite high proof or single Rickhouse releases, drop them in the comments. We'd love to know that. And as always, if you have any questions, you can get to Scott and I on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it is, Facebook. Let us know. We'd love to have a conversation. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.